If I was in London for only one day, can only do one walk, this is the walk I would do. Leaving Westminster Station, going to exit at number 1. Look at Westminster Bridge, and from Westminster Bridge got a great view of the Houses of Parliament. And then the walk going to go down from Westminster Bridge along the Victoria Embankment and follow that all the way to Cleopatra's Needle. Exit number 1, Westminster Pier. It says here, Bridges bylaws, no person shall remove or injure any of the statues, monuments, busts, railings, fences, seats, barriers, gates, lampposts, notices, notice boards, or other matters or things on or belonging to or forming part of any bridge, or deface or disfigure the same by the posting of bills, placards or notices, or by writing, stamping, cutting, printing, drawing or marking in any manner. Hope you all got that. That's the Houses of Parliament, view from Westminster Bridge, but I'm not walking that way today. Today we're going to walk along the embankment. This is Boudica, or Boadicea, placed here in 1902 on her chariot, but her reins have come off. These other women are her daughters. Boadicea, leader of the Iceni tribe of East Anglia in about 60 AD, went to war with the Romans here in Britain. Boudica's husband traded with the Romans peacefully, but when he died and she was the queen, the Romans decided just to take whatever they wanted. Boadicea was outraged. She organised the tribes collectively to go to war with the Romans, and Boadicea went to war against the Romans. She was obviously a very strong leader, and the Iceni absolutely trounced the Roman army in Colchester. Then they moved to London and absolutely trounced the Romans in London, and also Londoners who were thought to have been living alongside the Romans and so were thought of as just as bad. Then they moved on to St Albans, and the Iceni won there. And just when it looked like the Iceni and Queen Boadicea would have absolute victory, she just needed to win one more battle against the remaining Roman army, and they were favourites, but the Romans were well organised, and maybe the Iceni were too complacent, thinking they just needed to turn up to victory, for victory. The Romans, well organised, won the battle and won the war, and that's why Boudica's reins are off on her chariot. Just like today we say the wheels have come off, for Boudica her reins have come off. Here is an old River Thames tide gauge telling us the current height of the water. You would climb up here, look through the window there, and you'd see a line showing you the height of the water, but you can see the padlocks showing us not to climb up here now. It's not in use anymore. This is the Battle of Britain monument, and it says on the wall, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Winston Churchill said them words." It says here on the Battle of Britain monument on the embankment, of the 2,936 pilots and aircrew who fought in the RAF Fighter Command in the Battle of Britain, 544 lost their lives and a further 795 did not live to see the final victory in 1945. And these are the names of all those who lost their lives in the RAF during the Battle of Britain. They weren't all British pilots. Pilots from Southern Rhodesia, South Africa, United States of America, and we know Poland and other Commonwealth countries. The Royal Air Force Memorial. Samuel Plimsoll, born 1824, died 1898. The sailor's friend. Became MP in 1868 and corrected the problem of so-called coffin ships, which were too old and battered, over-insured, unseaworthy vessels, sent to sea in the hope of a wreck and a high insurance claim. Plimsoll got suspended from the House of Commons for arguing his point too vehemently, but even so the Merchant Shipping Act was passed and the line painted round British ships to stop the overloading was named the Plimsoll Line. Samuel Plimsoll became the first president of the Seamen's and Firemen's Union, and the memorial was erected in 1929 by the National Union of Seamen. Sir Joseph Bazalgette, engineer of London main drainage system and of this embankment, born in 1819, died 1891. Officially opened on the 13th of July in 1870, and now we can enjoy wonderful views from walking what must be the greatest city river walk anywhere in the world. This is a memorial to W.S. Gilbert of Gilbert and Sullivan. They produce operas at the Savoy Theatre near the Strand from the year 1881, like The Pirates of Penzance. Now we're almost at Cleopatra's Needle. How the walk's going to continue after there, before we get to Waterloo Bridge, we will cross over just before Savoy Street and enter Victoria Embankment Gardens and walk through the lovely Embankment Gardens. And we'll take the exit at York Watergate, and we will go up Buckingham Street. We'll have a quick look along John Adams Street and Adams Street and make our way back to Buckingham Street, and then make our way to Charing Cross, in front of Charing Cross Station. Cleopatra's Needle, a pink granite monolith, 68.5 feet tall and weighing in at 186 tons. This monument, as some supposes, was looked on in old days by Moses. It passed in time to Greeks and Turks and was stuck up here by the Board of Works. It says on the side here, this obelisk, prostrate for centuries on the sands of Alexandria, was presented to the British nation AD 1819 by Muhammad Ali, Viceroy of Egypt. It says on the inscription of Cleopatra's Needle on this side, this obelisk, quarried at Syene, was erected on Heliopolis by the pharaoh Thothmes III about 1500 BC. And on this side it has 6 names of crew members, sailors, perished in a bold attempt to succour the crew of the obelisk ship Cleopatra during the storm October the 14th, 1877. This first attempt to bring to this country, in a storm the ship sank and had to be salvaged some years later. And it says here, the scars that disfigure the pedestal of the obelisk, the bases of the sphinxes and the right-hand sphinx were caused by fragments of a bomb dropped in the roadway close to this spot in the first raid on London by German aeroplanes a few minutes before midnight on Tuesday the 4th of September 1917. This is a monument, and it says, "To the British nation from the grateful people of Belgium, 1914 to 1918. In 1914, over 250,000 Belgian refugees fled to England. This is Michael Faraday, father of the electrical industry. Michael Faraday, experimental physicist and founder of electromagnetism. Outside the Institution of Engineering and Technology. Faraday loved to experiment with connections between light, heat, electricity and magnetism. We are standing in Savoy Place, and along there will be the Savoy Hotel, which was the first hotel to use electric lighting lifts and have running hot water in the UK. And this is the Arthur Sullivan Memorial to go along with Gilbert and Sullivan. Sullivan wrote the hymn "Onward Christian Soldiers." And the first phonograph record to be made in England was of Sir Arthur Sullivan's "The Lost Chord." While I'm walking through Victoria Embankment Gardens, just look to the right, inland, Carting Lane, and over there you see the light, the lamp post. That's light comes from the gases from the sewers underneath, lighting the escaping gases. Still working today after all these years. Okay, I'm going to continue to walk through the park. This is a memorial in the gardens for Henry Fawcett. As you can see, he was blind. He was married to Millicent Fawcett, who was the campaigner for women, suffragettes, the peaceful campaigner to get women the vote. And Henry Fawcett's water drinking fountain, possibly the only one in London that actually works. Springtime is here in Victoria Embankment Gardens. As well as Joseph Bazalgette's Great Saving Sewer System, under the embankment is the District and Circle underground train lines. Monument to the Imperial Camel Corps. That's the park keeper's hut. Bit small, but at least you can have a private cup of tea. That's Rabbie Burns. Give us a poem, Rabbie. It says here, Robert Burns, 1759 to 1796. The poetic genius of my country found me at the plough, and threw her inspiring mantle over me. She bade me sing the loves, the joys, the rural scenes, and rural pleasures of my native soil. In my native tongue I tuned my wild, artless notes, as she inspired. Behind that stonework, which is York Watergate, used to be York House with gardens running down to the river. Before Joseph Bazalgette's embankment, the River Thames used to go right to there. It was about 150 metres wider than it is today. In between now we have the Embankment Gardens and the very busy road down there, the embankment to the Thames. Sir Joseph Bazalgette engineered this change to save London from the big stink. Well done, that man. George Villiers, the Duke of Buckingham, came into possession of the old house in the year 1624. And it was George Villiers who had the Watergate built as a mooring place on the riverbank. This anchor sign on the York Watergate is to show that the Duke was also Lord High Admiral and Warden of Ports. The Latin inscription on York Watergate, when translated into English, says the touchstone of faith is the cross. Nicholas Barbon developed this area after York House was demolished. We're in Buckingham Street. It was Nicholas Barbon who developed Red Lion Square, Holborn, that we spoke about in our first walk. Here I am at number 10. Sure you recognise the door and the house. But it's not number 10 Downing Street, it's number 10 Adam Street. So if you're on holiday here in London and you want to take a photo of yourself, a selfie at number 10 Downing Street, well, just come here, send it to your friends back home and they'll be none the wiser. This Queen Eleanor Memorial Cross is a replica of the original. This one was erected in 1865 as a centrepiece for the newly opened Charing Cross railway station. It says it is an ornate remodelling of the medieval Eleanor Cross built by King Edward I in memory of his beloved wife and Queen Eleanor of Castile, who died in 1290. He placed 12 Eleanor crosses in the locations where her funeral cortege stopped overnight on the route from Lincoln, near where she died, to her funeral at Westminster Abbey. The original Eleanor Cross remained in place near Westminster until the Civil War in 1647, when it was demolished and replaced with the equestrian statue of King Charles I. After Charing Cross Station and looking at Eleanor's Cross, we'll make our way along Duncannon Street, see St Martin's in the Field and Trafalgar Square. From there we will make our way along the Mall through Admiralty Arch. St Martin's in the Fields Church. The church is the oldest building around Trafalgar Square. When it was built, the church was surrounded by fields. That's why it's called St Martin's in the Fields. The King and Queen of Hawaii died of measles in the year 1825 while visiting London. Their bodies were stored here in St Martin's in the Fields Church in the crypt before being transported back to Honolulu. From St Martin's in the Fields Church we enter Trafalgar Square, famous for Nelson's column in honour of Horatio Nelson. He was born in 1758. Nelson fought in many battles, including the capture of Corsica, where he partially lost the sight in one eye. In another battle, Nelson at the Battle of Santa Cruz off Tenerife lost his right arm.